Welcome back to the newest episode of the Corporate Happiness Show. I'm Jacqueline Pirtle. I'm your host, and you can find me at FreakyHealer.com. So today we're going a little bit in a different direction, yet it all ties back to corporate happiness. So stay with us while I welcome Jamie and Brian from Weapon Brand.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Thanks so much for being on the show. So we know each other a tad little bit. Jamie and I are in the same group, the Girl Boss group from St. Petersburg in Florida, which is all about entrepreneurs. And, you know, we do the women thing, right? Having a blast there. And we felt that what Weapon Brand is all about, what Jamie and Brian do so well, really, really is important for corporate happiness. So do you both want to share a little bit what you're doing at Weapon Brand?
Sure. I'll start. I had to kind of chuckle when you said girl bosses, because everywhere we go, it's like we run into a girl boss, or all my friends are girl bosses, or, you know, we'll do collaborations with other girl bosses. And Brian's always like, let me guess, it's a girl boss.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It's a really great group of people, and
Yeah.
everyone has such a big vision for the world. And that's kind of like why I feel it's so important what you guys are doing, because ultimately it goes beyond corporate happiness. It has a bigger vision. So tell us what you do.
Yeah. So our company started by Brian, and then I jumped on board. We teach self-defense primarily, and we really focus on doing corporate training. So team buildings, corporate trainings, training your security professionals, helping all of your employees stay safe, because we know that whether you're attacked on the job or off the job, it's going to affect you mentally and physically. And if you're not there either mentally because you've been attacked and you just are having a hard time dealing with the trauma, or physically because you physically can't get there because you're attacked, as an employer, that affects your bottom line. It affects company morale. So we really find that employers who book us, their employees feel like they're loved and taken care of, and they're empowered to be their own weapon. So yeah, we focus on self-defense. We teach a ton of different types of classes outside of self-defense, like active shooter training. So if you have a company that, you know, anywhere you're at, you have a chance of being involved in an active shooter situation, sadly. But we do active shooter training, and it's not the type that you're watching a video and trying to get experience from watching that video. This is, you're actually going through drills, you're practicing, you're getting physical if you have to in an active shooter situation. So our trainings look a whole lot different. They're exciting. Plus you get to be trained by Brian, who is so charming. Even if he's my cousin, so it's weird to say this, but I think he's charming, he's funny. People love him, so.
So you got some good inside jokes going. I like that. We already had some before the show. So that's really good. So Brian, your background is all about that. Tell us a little bit about your background, and what is it really? Why do you think this is so needed too?
Well, unfortunately, right now, it's needed more now than it ever has been. I mean, you could just turn on any local news or national news and see just every day something's happening, unfortunately. But and you know, Jamie and I, we don't consider ourselves like the ambulance chaser type of self-defense instructor. We don't prey on fear. You know, we actually believe there's more good people out there than bad. But we do try to instill in our people with that weapon mindset that all it takes is one bad person or one bad incident. So we train you not only just the physical part of this of self-defense, but also how to threat profile in a sense, or how to look for universal behavioral patterns to be able to pick up that bad guy stuff before bad guys do that bad guy stuff or bad guy things. So, but how I got started was, you know, obviously I was in the Marine Corps, so I learned a ton from that.
He was actually sick of me beating him up as a child. So he thought he could learn self-defense.
And for those of you that don't know, Jamie and I are 3 weeks apart. I am 3 weeks older than Jamie, so she does have to listen to me.
Somebody asked one time if he was my son.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, Brian's gonna love this one.
Yeah.
That really tested your weapon brain, Brian, didn't it? It really did.
Yeah.
I kicked the guy's butt for asking.
Yeah. He did more than eat his own words. He ate Jamie's foot.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I didn't mean to interrupt you,
Oh,
Brian.
no.
Jacqueline
totally,
said she wanted it to be,
I was
to be ourselves. So
I was gonna say I'm used to it. I'm used to that anyway. So no, I'm joking.
So yeah.
Jacqueline, so I was in the Marine Corps for quite a while, and I learned a lot of different things doing that, obviously. And then I worked for the state of Ohio, and I wore a bunch of different hats with the state of Ohio. As a matter of fact, from what I gather, when I resigned from my position, they actually hired 3 people to do my job. So I was doing a ton of stuff, but it all revolved around personal safety and personal defense. So I taught a lot of things that had to do with making people safer, whether they're carrying a firearm, whether they are inside of a prison, whether they're arresting people. And just now we train, the majority of people we train are civilians, just normal people like us that are in everyday situations that could end up turning bad. So, I have a pretty lengthy background in personal defense, and man, I just thought this, with the world going how it is, what better time than to make a business and help people become safer and get back home to their families.
Absolutely. I mean, ultimately, I see 2 things that are coming to me. One is, first of all, the humor that you're bringing to the table and the positivity that you're bringing to the table. I want to make sure that listeners understand. Like you said, it's not fear-based. It's not like you're expecting something bad to happen. It's just like, you're taking really good care of yourselves. In some ways, it's a self-care. It's a self-care method. And then the other thing that's really coming in, which I think is just so powerful, is that empowerment that you're talking about. When you walk down the street, or even when you get up and you get up in the morning and you feel empowered, you get up in a very aligned state, and that's called happiness. What is happiness, right? Happiness is being empowered and feeling really good. And that's why I think this is so important to talk about it, because what you do rolls over into private life in many, many ways. You get more resilient in your ways of thinking. You feel better and stronger about yourself. You share that and spread that in a family too, with your children. And you learn things like, if I walk down like that on the street, or if I walk down like that down the street, and also your expectation, your mindset. And so I feel like it all ties together, and I wanted the listeners to understand, because they may go like, why is Jacqueline wanting to do an episode like that? Well, I think it's very, very important, and it goes into happiness. It goes into feeling good, and when you feel good and you're really confident, things just will go different, no matter what you're encountering out there. So how do you think, like corporate, leadership and whatnot may look at this and say like, yeah, but okay, so I hear Jacqueline, I hear what they're doing. So what do you think is so important about what you do, what could help the corporate world? Because people are unhappy, and I think you guys have the key, at least the key to a really big puzzle piece in how to unlock to make people happier.
So, and Jamie, if you don't mind, I'd like to answer this just from the standpoint of because I own another business. That's where I'm at right now. I'm actually in Ohio. So Jamie's in Florida, lucky her, but I'll be there next week. So, but anyway, so in Ohio, I own my own business here, and this business has been up and running, other than the pandemic, for 4.5 years. So I have my own group of people that help me here, and some of that group also helps Weapon Brand with Jamie and I. And the one thing that Jamie and I consistently do for our people that help us is we help them. So, and me working for the state government and also for the government for so many years, one huge thing that stood out as a supervisor or a manager or somebody that ran programs as an administrator was, the more you take care of your people, the more they're going to take care of you.
Yeah.
So as far as the corporation goes, when your people, that your employees are working for you, and they see that somehow, some way, you're even thinking outside the box, and you're doing things to make them safer, to help take care of their families, because essentially, if you're taking care of yourself, especially in this realm, you're taking care of your family as well. So when they see that, they tend to stay on the job longer. They tend to take care of their own supervisor. They feel a little bit worse about calling off that day if it's a mental health day, right? So I mean, I've been there, so I know all these things. But you know, to answer your question about corporations, why? To me, that's one of the biggest things. Take care of your people, and they know that, then they're going to take care of you. And what better way than to show them things about how to be safe, and have that weapon mindset, that they could face anything and somehow, some way get through it.
And I liked what you said, think out of the box, because that's
Yeah.
why we came up with this episode, thinking out of the box. Because, you know, buying pizza, free pizza for people, or having
Right.
a ping pong table just doesn't do it anymore.
Right.
And I think especially with all these different generations and all these different values. So if as a corporation you say, I value the safety of my people. I value that they're, you know, that they're eating good and they're feeling good and all that. That's amazing. That's a great value. Now, if you top that off with say, I value if my people are safe. What can I do? And if I would work in a company and I would see that their value is me being safe.
Yeah.
That, I mean, touches me deeply in my heart, and I feel really, really like bound on a deeper level with that company, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and we're teaching them a lifelong skill. You know, it's so funny that you bring up, you know, the whole pizza thing, because, you know, each corporation, they have their luncheons, and they try to take care of their employees, but the first thing they think is, well, we'll just order some food for them, which, I mean, I love to eat, but at the same time, when I eat, thank you for that food, but I forget about that as soon as I leave work, right? I'm looking for my next meal. So, but when we teach you this self-defense, and to go back to your point earlier, Jacqueline, we're not just teaching self-defense, we're teaching confidence and empowerment and just a healthier lifestyle and a safer lifestyle. You know, our self-defense is different in the aspect of, we don't just teach you moves per se. We teach you a whole mindset on how to avoid the situation, know how to avoid it, pick up those signs, and if you can't avoid it, you have the confidence, and now with the skill that we're giving you, that your corporation, that your employer gave you, hired us to give you, and you're taking that on now to be able to fight out of a situation if you had to. But when you understand that, and even just a 2-hour seminar from us, even just our lectures, people leave with an entirely different mindset and having so much more confidence. And that's what that corporation is giving back to their company. So I'm glad you brought that up about pizza, not only because it's lunchtime,
because it's pizza, but it actually,
hungry.
I know we all like it, but I like what you said. Once you've eaten it, you can move on and forget. It's also so the usual, right? Now you brought up mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that, because I tell you what, the mental health is such a big topic. Burnout, mental health, whatnot. How do you think it ties in what you're teaching for people to have, or to create, or to shift into a healthier mindset?
Jamie, you want to answer, or you want me to throw down on this one?
Yep. I'm just here for the show.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, right. Until you start getting into the nitty gritty, right?
Yeah.
So as far as mindset goes,
all your deep dark secrets, then it's my time to shine.
You know almost all of mindset, but so you know, as far as mindset goes, and so one thing, Jacqueline, is that I want to throw out there is, we believe in this so much of what you're talking about, that we actually even teach a class that is specific and focused on people that have had trauma or even PTSD, and it's self-defense through PTSD and trauma. And with that, our whole mentality is, once we start instilling this skill and this mindset, it doesn't take away that trauma. It doesn't take away that PTSD. And I could speak on this because I have PTSD. I've seen, you know, I'm not too too ashamed to say that I actually have two therapists that I see. But what we do is we change the shape of how it looks and feels. So when you give somebody something that's so insightful, so empowering, and something even new that they can learn so easily, it starts to change the shape of those bad things. And somebody that's been through it, I know those signs. I know what those indicators look like, so we can really help those people with trauma, and especially PTSD. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Changing that mindset is the goal. That's the key for us. We could teach you moves all day long, but if you don't have the mindset to pick up on when to use those moves, or how to do those moves, or why you're doing those moves, they're all they are is just physical things that you're doing with really little meaning. So mindset's
Absolutely.
huge.
Oh, mindset is huge. And I think what you're doing is also like the work that you do and bring to the table also can help people with anxiety, for instance,
Yeah.
because it's like,
Yes.
or just because a lot of times it's like, you're scared of stuff, right? You're
Right.
scared
Right.
of, so many people are scared of the world, scared of work, what's going to happen and all that. Now I come from the energetic perspective, and energetically everything is always possible, So I
Right.
totally see what you guys are doing, because that is possible. And with that teaching and with that knowing and the understanding of your work and what you bring to the table, you will shift into a new knowledge, and you will see yourself and feel yourself from a different perspective. That means from there, it's a different frequency. You will look at the world differently, and that by itself can actually help you then with anxiety, and because a lot of times people say, yeah, Jacqueline, I meditate, I do all these good stuff for me, I'll do all this, yet I'm still anxious inside. And that's the thing. It's like they're doing all the right things. However, they haven't shifted in a different frequency. So they're doing all the right things, but
Right.
still looking from the same plateau.
Right.
But with your work, they shift into a different plateau. And then suddenly you look through, empowered eyes, or you look through stronger eyes, or you look through, oh, I'm actually going to embrace my trauma and look from a different perspective eyes. And from there, the world looks different. So
Yeah.
you have a very healing aspect to your work too, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And when you have that when you see the world differently, other people see you differently.
Oh,
And that's one of the
absolutely.
biggest things that we teach, is that when you have that confidence and that empowerment, you're looking at things differently. Your chin is up. You're visualizing. You're seeing things. You're picking up on little things that you didn't before. Well, the predator notices that, and what the predator doesn't attack is another predator, and
Yeah.
that's essentially what we're making. We're making predators in a sense for good. Um, so those people are able to see and understand what those bad guys are doing and what they look like, and then it's almost like that it generates off of you when you have that empowerment and that mindset, and then you're less likely to be attacked.
Oh, because
So
it's an energy that you're giving out, or signals, whatever
absolutely.
you want to call it. It's a body language, it's a
Yes.
mindset
Yeah.
that you're giving out, and what you give out, is like
Yes.
this mirror that's coming in. And so, yeah, no, it's absolutely wonderful. Do you also teach it to children?
Yeah, we teach typically from right between 7 and 9 is when they're able to actually understand it and retain it. And then but yeah, we teach kids. We even teach classes that have to do with um, the parent and the child at the same time, in case something were to happen when they're together.
I love it. And to anybody that's listening with corporation, I tell you what, if you offer your employees that your children could take that
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
that touches the people straight in the heart, and
Yes.
they will go miles for you, because they're like, wow, so they care about my safety, and they also care about my children's safety. That's incredible. I love that. I
And if
love
it's
that.
something that we can't schedule anything with your children, even at the workplace, Jamie and I will we put this out there all the time, that when we teach one person, that one person takes it back to their family. When that
Absolutely.
family learns, they can now, that transcends to the neighborhood. When the neighborhood learns, that transcends into the community. So we're just touching more people when it comes to corporations, because we could do one-on-ones, we do group sessions, individual sessions, but when we do actual businesses and corporations, we're changing the lives and the confidence level of multiple now, and they're taking it back to their families. So just to go back to your point, Jacqueline, if it's something that we can't have the kids on the property, for instance, at some corporation, just know that what you're learning, you can take that back to your family. You can now teach your kids, and you're making your kids safer just by you able to pick things out now with that situational awareness that we teach.
Yeah, it's like what you say, it's like a ripple effect. And also, I do believe very strongly that your parenting skills will really like what you're doing, the work that you're offering too, because as a more confident and competent and feeling better about yourself parent, you will parent in such a really uplifted way too, and your children will reflect that. You will find new solutions, new ways. And so I mean, your work is endless in what it actually does. It changes people's lives, it makes a better world. And again, it's not about focusing on the bad that could be, it's more like empowering you and changing your habits and your way of being. So hopefully this will actually never happen, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
What's the quote that you say, Jamie? That's the best skill you hope to never use. Is that how it goes?
Yeah.
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 Something like that.
Something like that,
Something
right?
like that.
No, that's amazing. So
it's all over our social media.
yeah, something like that. I mean, you use it for yourself, just never publicly
Right.
or out there. Yeah. So do you use different techniques or is this a program you put together? Is this, what do you do? How do you teach?
So this is kind of Jamie thinks it's funny, but when I had the position that I had with the state, so before I had that position with the state, I already did a lot of things as far as combat sports go. I boxed a little bit, always a martial artist since I was younger. I did a lot of jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, kickboxing, things like that, wrestled. But so I knew that, and then going through the Marine Corps, I learned quite a bit there as well. So I already had a pretty lengthy background when the state hired me, and that's why they did. So they hired me to create their program for one of their largest agencies. And when they did that, what I did on my own and with them is they would send me to different types of programs, different types of brands, self-defense brands, different types of martial arts schools, different dojos. So basically I got my butt kicked for years. So I learned fast, what works and what doesn't work. And, the scary thing is there's a lot of self-defense systems out there right now that, to me, and just keep this in mind, I'm a martial artist. But when you're going to a dojo, a lot of times for a weekend self-defense class, you're learning a watered down version of that martial art that typically took that instructor years and years and years to perfect or to even have that skill level. So, to answer your question, the brand that our weapon brand, our system, what we do is we utilize roughly between 9 and 11 types of self-defense programs or martial arts and martial arts skills. And we put them together to where it's not the coolest techniques, but the easiest techniques to learn, right? Some of the coolest techniques, it would take you a year to learn. But what we teach, it's so easy to retain, it's so easy to learn, and it's very, very effective. And I can tell you that just from the instructors that I've taught, just from me getting beat up for years and years and years, the things that we teach work, and you remember them. But the most important part of what we teach isn't even the physical skill, Jacqueline. What it is being able to understand, have the mindset that you're worth defending, that you as an individual are worth defending, changing that mindset. And then also now having the skill to be able to pick up those bad things, those bad indicators, and avoid the situation. And then if you can't avoid it, then we have those techniques to teach you to get out of it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because it's like your work is on many levels, so I feel like I get a whole complete system here, right? It's like, Because I mean, I remember when our daughter went to college, and she, you know, we lived up north and northeast, and she came to college in Florida. And I moved her, and I said to her, listen, I want to do a self-defense class with you. You know, it's just gonna be good. You know, it will make you feel really good. It will make me feel really good, right? That you have that mindset and whatnot. So I moved her to Florida, and I stayed a while, and that's what we did together. And it was not a preparation for trouble. It was actually inside of her. You actually really saw that something shifted. Also in that class, or in these classes, it was a bunch of them. What was really amazing is, for me too, but I've taken some before, she's never taken any, just for her to realize, wow, I can actually do that.
Right.
And just that mindset shift, you know, it's like, absolutely, I can actually do that.
And you hope you never have to. Like, we hope that nobody ever uses any of the physical techniques that we teach them, that they don't have to, that they can identify those situations ahead of time and either identify them and get out, or de-escalate the situation. And we work with a lot of companies and individuals on de-escalation techniques, because, you know, if you have some toxicity in the office, it spreads like a disease.
Yeah.
So when that is happening, how do we make these people more of a team, and through the team building events, and stop that disease?
I like what you just said. So, and you're actually shifting into even something different that you do. It's not really different, but it's a very important thing that you're doing to teach people how to, you know, how to take the fire out of the situation.
Right.
And so do you do that, like, is that like together then with the other training, or is that completely separate?
It typically comes right with it. You learn that if you wanted something specific for de-escalation, we can teach that obviously, but when you start taking our system, Jacqueline, our system isn't just a one-time thing. You can take it one time and you're going to learn, but you're going to notice that everything we teach, there's always tidbits in each one that it will refresh from the last one. And de-escalation is one of those things. You know, each one, there's some little forms of how to de-escalate a situation. So to answer your question, we can teach it as a separate standalone class, but we typically don't. That's incorporated within our system.
Because it makes it a whole system. It's part of it. So what would you say, one or two, you know, simple things? I know the listeners want to know. So how do I take the fire out of something?
Well, your body language is huge. You know, we teach 4 nonviolent postures, which have a common consistency of one thing. Your hands are above your waist, and they're actually in front of you. So, you know, we teach an interview posture, a hand on the chin. We also teach an arms folded, and then if it gets to it, just a defensive posture. And we operate from those 4 nonviolent postures. But just doing those alone, it still sends a signal that I'm interested in what you're saying. However, it sends that signal to them that none of us like obstacles, but I have an obstacle now in front of you, meaning my hands are now in front of me. So, and we teach these little proof of principle drills just to prove that to you during the class on how that works. But that's one thing physically. We also teach positioning on where you're talking from. And we also teach things like low and slow, like, you know, very clear and concise speaking, but you're doing it in a lower manner and you're not getting somebody agitated.
I love that.
I need to work on low and slow.
Low and slow, right? Yeah, I'm not a low and slow kind of person either, but I always do it with a smile, so I get away with it.
Right.
So there's the other thing. I like that, and I like that just showed to me that yes, I could actually go home and teach that to my family.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's that simple. It's really that simple. It really is. So how do you, for a couple pointers in how do you even sense that a situation is not going in the way that you want it to go? And yeah, sure, you have your inner gut, your inner voice that says, hey, no,
Right.
this is not good. But beyond that, what else? Like a couple pointers in like, okay, so how do I know that I'm about to enter a really, really not good situation?
So you have everything that it takes to pick up those situations, even before we teach you the skills and the universal behavioral patterns on what to look for in a person that's going to do bad stuff. You already have what it takes. You have exactly what you said. You have your are we there? Are we still on?
Yes, we're still on.
Oh, okay. You have your intuition, what your gut tells you, trusting in what you feel, just like you said, Jacqueline, and also what you see. A common analogy that we use to that makes people laugh sometimes is, if you're driving down the highway and you're breaking the speed limit and you see a police officer or trooper in the median with a radar gun, you hit the brakes because you trust in
Really?
what you.
I don't know. I might speed up actually.
I don't speed. I don't speed.
I
So
don't speed
have
either.
too much experience. Jamie now she has a lot of experience doing this.
Yeah.
But you
I just say, hey, my cousin's Brian Anderson-Needham, and they're like, oh, okay, go ahead. You're good. Keep it under 100.
Yeah, you're getting your ticket doubled probably. They're gonna want to know where my location.
They're like, that guy trained me, and I was sore for weeks afterward. Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to get in trouble with Brian.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean a whole lot being in trouble with me, but when you see that trooper or that police officer in the median, you trust your eyes, you trust what you saw, so you hit the brakes.
Yeah.
But we ask people all the time, have you been in a situation where you actually felt like something was a little bit off, or you actually even see something that's a little bit creepy or a little bit shady? You don't like the vibe, but you still do it anyway. You still go into that gas station because you're in a hurry, because you're going to be late for work, you're going to be late for wherever you're going, and you ignore it. And we ask how many people have done that, and almost every single person in every single class, they raise their hand. But when you ask them how many people didn't step on the brakes or actually sped up when they saw a police officer, nobody does it typically, right? So it's what you see and trust. And we say use your devices, use your mechanisms. What you see and what you feel is huge.
Oh,
and
it is, yeah.
We really try to instill that within that class, but we also added on to that. We teach you very specific things to look for within a predator, or just, we call them indicators, incident indicators. So we teach you how to look for those, how to pick up on those things. And we've got a couple of little drills for you to do that actually make you a little bit more aware of your surroundings and easier for you to pick up on those things. And they're so easy to teach, so you can teach your kids the same things.
Absolutely. And I want to add something on when you say, like, people don't listen to the voices, you're late and you go to the gas station. It's also, what I see from my work is it's just, we all have that inner knowing, but we're so toned down and we learn to not listen to it. And that goes beyond what you guys are doing. It goes to what food to eat. It's like, what exercise is good for you, or when you're at a job and you just keep going, but you actually really, when you look back, you knew a long time ago, it might be time to really be true to yourself and say, this is not right for me. And I think the times are really highlighting that, right? To be true to yourself. And that includes to listen to your inner intuition and not question it. Don't question it, because it's always true. If you have this gut feeling, that weird feeling, don't question it. And if you question it, just know that it's an old way of doing things. You just learn to question it and do what your parents say, even though it's not good for you. And sometimes that's needed, but a lot of times we're kind of, by childhood already, we're teaching the children not to listen to their inner instincts and to really just not question your voices. And I'm already like in love with your work, before, through this talk and everything, but now even more, because all of my work is based on helping people to go home, right? Because there's so much information in there, and you're building on that, and I really like that. So do you, but when you talk about your work, is it also written? Do you have worksheets, or is it mostly like, movement and listening, and how do you do that?
It's actually all the above. We offer lecture-based classes only, and then we also offer physical classes, which still have some lecture as a part of them, just to get in that mindset and to understand. Um, but right now we're actually working on some online stuff as well,
Oh, cool.
just in case people can't make our seminars or they can't get to our lectures. They could actually listen to them or tune in even whenever we have these seminars as well. So Jamie and I are working on that right now as we speak.
One of the
That's
big
awesome.
things, one of the big things to look out for, which I think is pretty cool and something that not a lot of other companies, in fact, I don't really know any companies are doing, is we do a rideshare driver safety program. So whether you take ride shares or you're a driver for ride shares, it's about being protected in those close quarter environments. Because being an Uber driver or a Lyft or even a delivery person can be very dangerous. There's stories every single day about a rideshare driver being attacked. And so one of the really cool videos that we're working on is how to train people from those close quarter type incidences on how to stay safe, because we know there are Uber and Lyft drivers throughout the country that won't be able to get to one of our trainings that right now are in St. Petersburg, the Tampa Bay area, as well as in Northeast Ohio. So we want to be able to help people even if they can't get to us right away.
I like that. And I think that is so, so needed and so smart, that rideshare safety, because like I was visiting my son in San Diego and then, didn't rent the car because he's downtown, and I did take Lyft. And then when it was a very, very nice woman picking me up, and then we started chatting about children and all that. And then I said, so what do what are the times you're working? And then she said, oh, I start at 5, and then I go all the way till midnight. And I said, how do you keep yourself safe? And she said, yeah, I know, I forgot the pepper spray at home, and my boyfriend tells me always to take it. And I said, you know what? Why don't we go and stop? And you get the pepper spray. I wait in the car real quick. And, I want you to have a pepper spray, or something, right? How do you keep yourself safe, right? And so I think if people, because the pepper spray only helps you so much, it's a tiny tad little safety.
Yeah,
so
Brian can tell you a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so you teaching that is actually amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hopeful that companies, if you're Lyft, you work kind of on your own, so hopefully you can afford it and you can take that class. But there are companies out there also that have people working night shifts and whatnot. That is a great addition to show to your people that you actually care. So pepper spray, tell me.
He'll tell you about that, but I was going to mention before he says that if you're an Uber or a Lyft driver or working for a private transportation company, or even if you take them, you can ask your insurance company to sponsor you to do a class. You can ask your healthcare provider. Like, there's so many different people that if you just go to them and say, hey, look, if I get hurt while I'm on the job, it's going to affect my medical rates, my insurance rates, will you sponsor me to take this safety class? So we do have people that come to us that have been successful in getting sponsored and being able to have their classes covered by their insurance agent, or a local health care provider, or just different types of company who are also invested in them being safe.
I like that. Thank you for that information. And any listeners out there, if you can't afford it, write to me, info@freakyhealer.com, and I know we will find something out together, right, Jamie and Brian, for that person, point you to the right place or whatnot. Because if you want to take it and you can't afford it, we'll find a way somehow for you to be able to take it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So pepper spray.
Yeah.
Pepper spray. Oh man, this is a common topic that Jamie and I get. And Jamie passed this one off to me, but I love hearing Jamie talk about it because I know how much she's learned over the past at least year, just being with me day in and day out. So, but I'll take this one, James. You sit back and just look pretty. I'm gonna talk about this. So Jacqueline, yeah, there you go. So Jacqueline, when you have pepper spray, you usually have it in your hand, right?
I don't have one, honestly.
Oh,
I
geez.
don't. I just told her
Well,
to take one because I'm never alone. I'm
yeah,
either with my big football son or with
yeah,
my daughter or with my big husband or whatever. So,
right.
but yeah,
So,
tell me about it.
okay, so if you did have pepper spray, which I'm glad you don't, because I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions
Really?
out there, that having any type of what Jamie and I, what Weapon Brand calls a secondary tool. So it's not horribly bad, and sometimes it sends off that energy, sends off that signal that, hey, you have something, and I'm willing to do something to protect myself. So that's an A plus. You get an A plus for that. However, when you have pepper spray, there's a few things that happen. First of all, how many people practice with it? And when I say practice with it, how many people actually
No.
shoot something with it, especially a moving target? And even if you did shoot somebody with it, um, or expose, we won't call it shoot, expose somebody to what we call OC, oleoresin capsicum, or pepper spray, they call it, or mace, some people will call it. When you expose them to it, unless you hit them directly in the eyes, it's really not going to do a whole lot. And you don't even know what you can use if you've never used it.
And
So,
you don't
some
want to
people,
practice on anybody either.
right, right. So
You know.
it's almost like saying you have something. I tell people, with a gun, if you don't know how to protect that gun, and once it's taken from you, that gun, or even if you expend all the actual rounds in that gun, it's having a paperweight. Would you want a paperweight in your hand? Because the only thing you could do now is hit. But what we teach is use that as a secondary device, because
Yeah.
if you're going forward in your purse, we'll do this with some of our classes. Jacqueline will say, how many times have you used your phone today? You've used it maybe a handful of times today, right? How many times have you used your pepper spray? None. So now let's throw your purse, or I'm sorry, let's throw your phone in your purse. We're going to call it and see how fast you can get to it. Now add stress. Now add somebody moving. Now add somebody trying to take you or take your purse. Are you going to be able to get a well-aimed, effective shot or an exposure
No.
with that pepper spray that you don't even know if it works, or if you don't even know how potent it is? So, and we say that with any secondary device. It's not bad to have them, but what's good and what's better is have them understand they're a secondary device. And what you're going to use is, first, I'm going to have the mindset that I'm going to be able to protect myself, that I'm worth protecting myself. Number two, that I could pick up on those bad cues and be able to avoid it. And number three, if I can't avoid it, then I'm going to use my hands, and I'm going to use everything I can with my body that we teach you how to fight out of that. And if I can't, my last ditch effort is to grab that secondary device. So
I
there's a
love
lot of
that.
reasons we say not to count on it as a primary. We don't
Yeah.
say never use it. We would rather people use their eyes, their gut, and their hands to be able to protect themselves.
Well, it's like what you're wanting people, and what you're doing is you're teaching people. You want me
Yeah,
to learn
right.
how to use my mind and my body and my
Yes,
understanding. And once you learn that, it's imprinted in you. And
right,
only then you use the pepper spray. And honestly, we go back to self-care, It's like learning
right,
how to eat well, learning how to exercise, learning how to
right,
drive safe, learning how
right,
to whatever. Well, what you're teaching is really learning how to be safe, and that should be and is a part of self-care. How much do I love
absolutely,
myself?
right,
To learn how to be safe. How much do I love my family to be safe? And how much does a company like or loves their people so they can stay safe? It's like a
right,
self-care
right,
need that actually is huge. It's huge
right,
out there, right?
You would,
absolutely.
you would be amazed at the people who come in, especially women who, when we talk about eye gouging, which is a really effective way to defend yourself, if somebody's fingers are in your eye, you don't want nothing to do with that, right? As a
Yeah.
predator. And they say, oh my gosh, I could never do that. I could never, ever hurt somebody like that. Meanwhile, we're talking about doing this to somebody who's coming at you, who's trying to hurt you, who may be trying to hurt your family, who you may not get home at night because of, but they're such good people that they don't want to do that. But then by the time they leave our class, they're like, they've realized that their life is worth fighting for, that there's nothing else more important than getting home to their family at night. And so from from I could never do that to don't mess with me because I will if I have to, without even saying that, but just in their presence and their energy, it's a complete shift. And we love seeing that kind of transformation in our students. That like makes it worth like the long hours and the and the not eating, as Brian likes to remind me that that's why he's eating. I don't let him eat. So
no, absolutely. But also, like, I like what you just said, because listen, until something is brought to the attention, until it's said, what you just said, you don't even think about it, you know. Before you said that some women would, you know, they come in and they say, especially when they say, oh, I could never do that. And then, you know, until you just explained that to me, I didn't even think about it. Would I be able to do that or not? So naturally, that is a mindset shift that just happened for me just by you saying that. And that's also what this show is about, you know. It's so clear what we're talking about. It's a common sense, but until it's spoken out, until it's in somebody is listening to that, you know, to us it's clear. And when the people hear it, they're like, well, yeah, of course it's clear. But until it's out there, it's the focus is not there. And that's that shift that we're talking about with mindset and everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's wonderful.
Is that the body can't go where the mind has never been. So we work with a lot of visualization. Like, you don't want to stick your fingers in someone's eyes. We get it. Let's visualize what that might be like. Yeah, it's
very powerful.
The class is fun, and it's like Brian's a character. So everybody loves him, which makes my job really easy, because then they want to sign up for more classes. But yeah, I mean, it's not always a fun topic to talk about, but we really focus on the positives and the good people and empowerment and confidence. And then, oh, by the way, I know how to do all this stuff if I have to.
That's wonderful. It's really, really cool. So
well said.
Yeah, very well said. I love it. And like I said, I enjoy like your humor and your energy and whatnot. And that way you can actually bring a really serious subject to the table and make it actually that, no, I want to take a class from you. I want to learn. So where can people find you? Very interesting. Very, very important. I want everyone to be able to find you.
We do too.
We do too. That's why we are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Meetup, Google. You'll find us all those places, and also online at weaponbrand.com. All of our events are listed there. You can get tickets there. You can get really cool apparel like this awesome t-shirt, the awesome hat that Brian's wearing, the polos, but we have some really great apparel so that you not only can feel like a weapon, but when you're wearing a shirt that says weapon, nobody messes with you, because they're like, oh, that girl's probably carrying.
Yeah, but that's true. That's true.
But here's my weapon right here.
That's true. And are you on LinkedIn as well?
Yes, LinkedIn at Weapon Brand, or my name is Jamie Anderson, and he's Brian Anderson-Needham. So yeah,
perfect.
Access anywhere, and we're always giving out tips. We do contests, we give classes away online. But today I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that it's National Stop Bullying Day. And well, this will be aired after National Stop Bullying Day, but you know, it's an important topic for our kids to talk about as well, on how to keep them safe. You know, we don't want them to be in a physical altercation, but a lot of the mindset classes that we have will actually help with bullying prevention. So
I love that. I love that. And it's children are very dear to my heart. I work with a lot of children, and my children's book is coming out and whatnot. And by the time this will be aired, it's already out. Alice in a Genie, The Superpower of Children, and it's about intuition and whatnot. And we can do so much better to empower children. We can do so much more. So I really love that. So I really enjoyed our conversation.
Next book, they take a self-defense class.
Yeah, let's do that. Ella's pretty cool. She's a pretty cool character. I mean, yeah. Oh, she would love that.
Okay,
She would
cool.
really love that. Yeah, let's get on with that one. I like that idea. So, I really enjoyed our conversation, and you know, I could always just keep talking because you guys are very interesting and very upbeat and positive. Yet we have come to the end of our time. So thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate it that you came on the show. Yeah, that's really cool. And all the listeners, thanks for sticking with us. We went over time a little bit, but hey, this was such a needed conversation. And I'm Jacqueline, your host. You can find me at FreakyHealer.com. And until next time, thanks so much.
Thanks, Jacqueline.